Ba-ba-ba-boom. Radio Tatras International. RTI. Enjoy.
Have mercy, Mr. Attitude, Eric Wiltsher.
This is Postcard from Poprad. Nobody will notice on the replay at all. It's Eric here. We are alive. We are alive. We are alive and kicking all around the world, reaching a radio set near you somewhere. God knows where. But I'm going to start calling smartphones radios, because that's what they are to me. I really am, because I was trolling around this week, travelling, and my radio in my pocket was my smartphone. So it's my radio now. Don't care. That's the end of it. Hello, Leigh.
Hello, dear. How are you? ConsumerWatchFoundation.com.
Blimey. That's the fastest he's ever done it, I think.
Thank you very much.
We'll talk to Rachel instead. Hello, darling.
Hello.
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 Hello. Hello.
Uh-oh. Voice.
Oh, dear.
She's got her voiceover voice on.
Have I? Oh, yeah, but it's only because it's late.
Oh, baby, you're tired.
Are you?
I had a very interesting day, but it began at 5 a.m. and it begins again tomorrow at 5 a.m. and it's just a bit tiring after 5 days of it.
I can imagine.
Yeah. What time do you normally go to bed then?
Normally I go to bed about now, because normally we finish about now.
Yes.
So, and then I go to bed so I can get up at 5 and go to work again on a Saturday morning, which is fine. I don't mind doing it. But normally it's bedtime now.
Oh, dear. Listen, a few hellos quickly, and one person I've got to say hello to, because I need him later. Hello to Dave, our Dave. Hello to Eileen, who says, hi, Eric. Hi, Eileen. Hi to... I should have cleaned my glasses before I come in. Hi to Ali, to Malcolm, to Ian, to Ralph. Steve's there. And afternoon, says Steve. Afternoon, Steve. And Paul Rustling's joined us.
Hello, Mr. Rustling.
We need him. Looks like Leigh's been eating ice cream. It does rather, doesn't it, with the shadows?
Do you know why he's called Rustling?
Why?
Because he's made out of brown paper. Ha! Ha! Ha!
Oh, dear. Yeah, we need comment from Paul a bit later on, because apparently Hull is a bad place, and I do not believe it for 1 minute.
Hull's a lovely place.
It's a new piece of research, and I think it's rubbish.
What, Hull is?
No, this blessed research.
Hull is a wonderful place, isn't it,
Yeah,
Mr.
I know,
Rustling? I
it's
spend a lot of
terrible.
time there.
Why does Australia make these time changes so complicated? Hello, team, says Dave. That's for you, Rach.
The time change is so complicated. I don't. It's just that I happen to deal with people who live on the other side of the world. Therefore, I've got to deal with it daylight saving going on and going off simultaneously, and it makes it more complicated. But if I only have to do one of them, it's easy.
If I sound shocked, Rach, it's because Leigh actually managed to open the PDF file on the computer on his own.
Well, look, every day, I believe, a miracle, small or large, will occur. That's a large one.
And I'm a big miracle.
That is a big miracle. It's enormous.
Can I just riposte?
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else who's watching on Facebook.
And listening.
And no, it doesn't work for the listening people. It only works for the people who are watching on Facebook. Right? All these little dots on his T-shirt are not the fact that he's got really bad dandruff. It's little stars to go with his Star Wars T-shirt. I tried to brush him off when I came in.
Rogue One. This means, you see, Rogue One.
Rogue One.
That's what it says. And the reason why I'm grumpy, I'll tell you a bit later, but I made a fatal mistake last night.
What, you did?
No, I listened to Question Time on the BBC.
I was going
well, that was just silly, really, wasn't it? I mean...
What most people don't realise is that BBC Radio can be listened to all the way around the world.
Yes.
And Question Time, which is the TV programme I used to like watching, is on the BBC Radio at the same time.
It's a very, very good programme.
It is, but did I get cross last night?
Why did you get cross?
I wanted to throw things at my laptop.
What did you want to throw? You were listening on your phone, you said?
Well, yes, I know, but then I was listening on my laptop.
So you're duplicitous.
So
why were you going to throw things?
Smart. I'll tell you in a minute.
Mr. Dandruff.
Mr. Dandruff. Anyway, let's get on with it, shall we,
You've not
girls?
said why you've got annoyed.
Because of the numpties that were on it.
Who was on it?
I don't know their names. They're funny people. They're not realistic. Anyway, shall we get on, Rach?
Yes, let's get on.
Thank you, producer. Carl Mildenberger, who probably is not a name that most remember. I do, because I was around at the time. He was the boxer who fought Muhammad Ali and lost. He's died at the age of 80. Good on him. And I understand, rather than Muhammad Ali, he had a relatively good later life, where he wasn't poorly or anything like that. But I do remember Carl losing to Henry Cooper.
He did.
Splash it all over, Henry.
I went to his golf course in Portugal.
You missed that, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I was just letting everybody else savour it while I told them my little bit of Henry Cooper.
So come on, what's splash it all over Henry about?
That was about his Old Spice thing.
No, it was not. It was Brute.
Brute, because he was a brute.
It was Brute.
That's because he was a brute.
It was
that
Barry
was really rude about him.
It was Barry the Genius Sheen and Henry Cooper.
Oh, aye, wasn't it? Yeah. Anyway,
Barry the Genius Sheen.
Excuse me. I went to his golf course in Portugal on the Algarve called Mirafiori, and it was absolutely fabulous. And we met him there.
All right. Well,
he was a big boy. He was nearly as big as me, you know.
Yeah, I know.
I could have taken him.
Yeah, right. And of course, Rach didn't jump in there, and she should have done.
Yeah, jump in, Rach.
Why?
Because our Barry Sheen was down in Oz for years, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yes, that's that guy who did a television commercial here with one of our V8 motor racing legends.
That's
and
right.
Yeah. The ad was they pulled up to a service station, and they were getting some petrol, and then Dick Johnson says, "Do you want anything while I'm in there?" And he says, "Oh yeah, I'll have a paper. I want a paper." And he says, "Anything else?" And he says, "Yeah, I'll have a chocolate bar and a drink." And then Dick Johnson says, "How about a sock?" As in, to stuff it in his mouth. And he says, "A sock? What do I want a sock for?" It was hilarious.
Very good.
Was that it? He ended up, he had a sad end though, Barry Sheen, didn't he? He ended up polishing tables for a living, didn't he?
No.
Mr. Sheen.
Mr. Sheen.
I get it.
Oh, that's as funny as your joke, anyway.
I get it.
Poor old Barry. He was one of the only people that had to reinvent the security machines at airports for.
What, because of all the metal?
All the metal work he got in. Yeah, he couldn't go through anywhere. But Carl Mildenberger was really famous. He was European champion at one point until Henry Cooper took that title away from him. And, of course, Muhammad Ali was knocked out unceremoniously by our Henry.
He was.
But
then he kicked
9 bells out of him.
Yeah.
And, of course, Henry then went on to win the European title from Carl. And the other one, and it's funny how these boxers back in the day were all good comedians, because Brian London was another one of that gang at the time.
I met Brian London.
And they were great fun.
He was. I used to go to his club in Blackpool.
Yeah.
I did, honestly.
They were amazing people.
Funny.
They were funny, unlike the sort of more modern brand. Anyway, Martin Alcock, the guitarist with Fairport Convention, and Jethro Tull, has died as well. Oh,
that's bad, isn't it? 61. He was only 61. That's nearly as old as you.
And you?
And Rachel.
And you?
And me. I'm not that age.
Yeah,
Martin Alcock was born in Middleton in Manchester, where I was born.
Right, do you know any of these names like Fairport Convention?
Do you?
No.
Jethro Tull?
Yes.
See?
Blimey.
Jethro Tull's still going.
Well, I know that.
I met Jethro Tull.
Yes, okay. Here we go. Ray Galton.
I've met him.
He was a genius.
He was very funny.
He was. And please don't call the emergency services, boys and girls, because he was one of the co-creators of Hancock's Half Hour, which was the funniest thing ever, because, of course, one of the most famous sketches was the radio ad, where the people on the other side of the world go, "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday!" And, of course, the whole thing was getting completely mixed up with his landlady coming in and asking him about eggs, then somebody else would want to talk about the weather, and he would say, "It's raining not in Tokyo!" No, you didn't get that, did you?
I never got that. I've never got it when I've heard, here's me Tony Hancock impersonation.
Go on then.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
That's a very good...
Oh, dear.
That's a very good Tony Hancock. It really is. And, of course, he was also famously one of the creators of Steptoe and Son.
Oh, yeah.
Albert!
Sugar?
No.
Sweetie.
Sweetie. He started at the age of 88.
He knocked it on a bit, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was a great guy, though. Montserrat Cabela.
Never met her.
The Spanish opera singer. She's died at the age of 85.
She's the one who performed with that Freddie Mercury person, didn't she?
She did indeed.
Naughty girl.
And one for Rach here, Peggy McKay.
Yeah.
Well, I found this, other than it's just sad, and she was a lovely actress, known more for Days of Our Lives in her later life. But I found this very interesting because the man who played her on-screen husband, we did the story on his death only a couple of weeks ago.
That's
and
true.
Now she has passed away herself. And it's very, very sad. She was 90 years old, and she studied with Lee Strasberg in New York. And then she did wonderful things such as lovely plays on Broadway, and then she appeared on a lot of television shows like Maverick and LA Law and Cold Case and so forth and so on. And then she went to Days of Our Lives, and she was there from 1983 until 2016.
Blimey. Okay, some more hellos to do. Paul comments, by the way, Hull is groovy usually.
Hull's brilliant, honestly. Hull's brilliant.
Steve wants to know, what politician did Leigh pinch his joke book from? They're rubbish.
Wow.
Steve Mann,
Yeah.
get back in your book.
Steve, that's way harsh.
Is that
For
harsh?
so early in the program.
Can you get it on the iPlayer if you know how?
Ooh.
What? I think he's referring to 5 Live. Yeah, you can. You get 5 Live on the iPlayer. Yeah,
Why do
easy.
you want to listen to 5 Live?
Well, if you're on holiday.
Well, listen to us.
Well, I suppose, yes, but we're not on all the time, are we?
Oh,
Well,
RTI.
No, but
It's not all about
RTI
you.
is.
No, I know, but we allow people to go away for the odd hour now and again. It's only fair to the other broadcasters.
Yeah, give him a little bit. Yeah,
Give them a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Good afternoon to Joe.
Hello, Joe.
And to Clive. David Bloomfield's in, as is Nori, and Anthony Perkins is there. Dorothy's there.
Dorothy, who's that?
Dorothy Banks, you've got to behave now. Oh, now you're in trouble. David says, good afternoon, all. Like the T-shirt, but Star Trek one would be nicer. I kind of get what you're saying there, David, but I am a bit of a Star Wars junkie. It's got to be said. I had the first trilogy. Now I've got the 64 million version trilogy. And I was nervous about the TV show coming out, so I will critique that when it comes out. But if it hasn't got the right people in it, not going to watch it. Simple.
Who should be in it?
Oh, the cast.
Well, there'll be a cast.
Well, they're not going to do television. They're not going to do that, Eric. So you're not going to
know.
like it, are
So,
you?
yeah, see.
Well, no, I mean, as long as I've got, BB-8, C-3PO, R2-D2, maybe some of the Wookiees, I'll be close.
They're not real.
They're not?
No.
You're
They're
kidding.
real to us, Uncle Lee. They're
You're
real to
kidding.
us.
Don't you? You're going to tell me there's no Father Christmas in a minute?
Yeah, there is a Father
Yeah.
Christmas. He lives in Spitzka, Sabota.
Oh, that's very true. The terrible storms
Wait, what?
going on. Spitzka-Sabota, up the road from where you live, dear, for a while.
Yes. He's just past New Zealand.
Oh.
Ah,
I
right.
thought he lived at the North Pole.
Well, no, he has his holidays here, Rach.
Yeah, he does, yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I'm very tired.
Only when
I
it
have no
rained,
idea
dear.
what's going on.
No. Well, I'll help you. Sorry, everybody. I just got to help Rach. You remember that beautiful white church spire you saw when you were looking out from the balcony in Aqua City?
Yes.
Right. That's Spitzka-Sabota.
Oh, that's just out the window from
And
you guys.
I actually met Father Christmas there. He was a bit drunk, but he was all dressed up and had presents in his arm, and he was a bit drunk standing by the side of the church about 5
That
years
was
ago.
Uncle Eric. Don't be silly.
Shh, don't tell anybody. Serious for a moment. A huge storm's been destroying huge chunks of America. It's called Hurricane Michael. I don't know where they get all these names from. It's the third strongest storm in recorded history, and it's already destroying things. People are losing their lives. Unfortunately, on radio, you can't really say a lot about it because it's one of those picture-y type things. But we do know that Rick Wigley's already reporting huge floods where he is as well. And you'll catch Rick on the radio here. He's ready to go. He's an old trooper, you know. A little bit of rain doesn't stop him.
It's a bit more than a little bit of rain.
But it's not fair, is it, really? Because they just survived one not long ago. It was,
exactly.
It was only a month ago that the last one hit them. It's not fair.
No, it's not. I mean, Florida is getting really hammered this year.
But how many people have died? There's at least nearly 20 have died.
Something like that
already.
already,
Yeah, absolutely.
And more to come in a moment on the programme, unfortunately. Tennis ace Rafa Nadal has been helping clear up in Mallorca, which is quite scary for our Keith Lewis, who's on his way there somewhere about an hour time. So you stay safe, Keith, because we need you for Monday nights. And there's a British couple in their 70s have already been swept away in a taxi, of all things, which is incredibly sad. Very, very sad indeed. Let's brighten it up a little bit. Right about now. Oh, that was a really good song, that one, wasn't it?
What?
Right about now.
You've not talked about the weather time bomb that's going to hit Britain.
Oh,
90-mile-per-hour winds are pretty bad, and it's wiping out the Indian summer there. Dorothy, tell us, has the weather bomb actually hit Britain yet?
Okay.
Or Steve, man? Or anybody
well,
who's
Steve
in Britain?
reckons RTI should start a TV station. Leigh could do the Sooty Show. Ha, ha, ha. Ha, ha.
Oh, dear,
He likes covering his hands with things, Steve. He's into that.
Yeah, I like getting stuck up.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, you sit. I don't know what that word was supposed to be, by the way.
I have no idea where the combination of that came from. Can you work it out, Rach?
Oh, dear. That's even worse.
No. Anyway, congratulations to the happy couple in the UK.
Yeah.
Royal Highness Prince Eugene of York has married Jack Brookbank, or Mr. Jack Brooksbank on the thing. Now all married. It's not really Emily. But on Facebook, it's Emily. Emily loves my shirt. She loves it. Do you want me? She's trying to take the shirt off me back.
Take it off.
No.
No, well, actually, you could. Actually, I've noticed again, because I've not seen you for nearly a week.
Yes.
Or 5 days. And you've lost weight. Again, it's incredible.
I know.
You're the disappearing man.
It's really weird. I'm not eating so much.
You're a shadow of your former self, which is a really good thing in your case.
But the trouble is, my weights only go down slowly, but my inches are going down quicker, if you know what I mean.
So you're about 4 foot.
Oh, she's on the telly now.
Who is?
Princess Eugenie coming out of the chapel. It's so lovely. She's so pretty. She looks resplendent.
She's not very pretty. I wouldn't say she was the prettiest of the royals. I'm not.
She looks pretty today. She looks pretty today, Uncle Leigh. She's a beautiful blushing bride.
I was watching it on telly in Bratislava.
When?
Today, before I came here.
You were watching it on the telly in Bratislava?
Well, the telly programme was in Bratislava. I was watching it here.
Oh, I see what you mean. I'll get you now. But anyway, good luck to the happy couple. It's nice to have a wedding there as well.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's terrible here in the UK. My 90-centimetre satellite dish is being blown around all over the place. Shame the motor is... I'm not saying that word.
Go on, then.
The motor is messed up.
Oh,
why can't you say messed up?
I can say messed up, but
You
the word
can.
that's on my screen is not the same word that I just...
What's the word he's put on the screen?
I can't tell you that.
What does it begin with?
B. No, the other one.
Bummed.
No, not well, close. That'll do. Hello, David, Melissa, and Brian. Next story is coming up. I am kind of a bit annoyed about, and I'll tell you why when Leigh has his rant. Police calling the commissioner a coward. Yeah. This was a police chief who stayed in his car during the Westminster terror attack. He's been compared online to heroes, and yet other people are saying he was a coward. And some of the newspapers, Uncle Leigh, are berating this man, aren't they?
I understand. I can see this from both sides, but my inherent feeling is that, quite rightly, he should step down from his position as a police commissioner. The background, I'm sure everybody knows, is that Sir Craig Mackay actually witnessed Khalid Masood stabbing PC Keith Palmer to death. Now, bear in mind, this man is a police commissioner. He's at the top of his game. He's trained in all sorts of methods of defending people and defending himself. He was in a car and drove away.
No, he was told to shut the door and lock
Yes,
it.
that's right. And they drove away, leaving the scene of this horrendous crime. Now, really, shouldn't the man who is there to defend and protect the people of the UK, whose job and avowed definition of what he wants to be, should he really have left the scene of what was happening to one of his men, a true hero?
I get that as well.
Yeah.
I get both sides.
And
Rach,
so everybody's calling him a coward.
let's see what Rachel's point of view is.
I'm sorry. I was transfixed on looking at this beautiful dress this girl was wearing.
Oh,
I'm
no.
very, very sorry.
Oh, no.
I'm very sorry.
Right, we'll let you catch up. Steve says, too right he should. Others put their lives at risk while he cowered in his car. I get that as well,
I agree
Steve.
with you, Steve. I don't
get
agree with
that,
a lot, but that.
but in the other side of the fence, if he was doing as a police officer should do, who's not in charge of the incident, if the person in charge says to you, get back in your car and lock the door, that's what a well-trained person would do, because they are trained to obey the officer in charge. Doesn't matter what the rank is. It absolutely doesn't. They could be a conventional PC.
That's a cop-out.
It's not a cop.
They follow orders. So what you're saying
Order,
is
yeah.
he should have followed orders and
Yeah.
remained in his vehicle as instructed. Yeah, but I understand
both
that
sides.
that's what you do. But
This was
in
one
this
man.
particular case, I think this guy was going to do what police do and run into the line of danger and try and defend somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And take charge of a situation. I think he did the exact right thing.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, we move on because it is a terrible situation, that one. And this is where I want comment from Paul in a moment, so hang on a minute. Let's just wake him up. Wake up, Paul. That's it, I've just woken him up.
You can hear him rustling.
Oh, shut up. This is a really interesting thing, and I get a little bit cross with it, I'm sorry to say. Not for the obvious reason. Parts of the country are now being called food deserts. This is the UK, due to a lack of affordable fresh food. And there's a huge map that's come out with all these different bits and bobs, and where you can and can't buy stuff, and why charities are going around with stuff and so on and so forth. Now, when we just sort of come down to the top 10 areas, one of them includes, well, in fact, number one in the most deprived food deserts of the UK is Hull. Hull. How can Hull be a food desert?
Well, Hull isn't and hasn't been historically the richest part of the UK. It might have its own telephone system and all that kind of thing, but it's a dock area. It has a lot of poor people there, and it's pulling itself up by its bootstraps, and it's turning itself into something special. Now, there are a lot of poor people there, and this story reflects more than anything on British society rather than the areas. Well,
I'm blowing a fuse.
Food is incredibly expensive in Britain. People can't afford it. Wages are very, very low. The support system of benefits is being changed dramatically and will leave people even worse off. Rents are astronomically high. You know, you're looking at, you can't raise a mortgage unless you've got thousands of pounds in the bank, and people are living a hand-to-mouth existence.
This was part of the topic last night on Question Time.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, one of the points. Of course. I forgot about that, Paul. Thank you.
Oh.
Paul's just replied, plenty of fresh food in Hull. It's a port, and we're in the middle of a farming community. Fresh fish
Absolutely,
too.
yeah.
70% of lobsters are landed in Bridlington, which is just down the road. And I kind of get this, and this is what was making me cross last night. So I've got a theory. I have a solution.
Yes, yeah.
This is all to do with the new scheme in the UK to cut down on a dozen and one benefits and give people just one. And people are saying, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do that, oh, I haven't got the money for this, I haven't got the money for that. Right, okay. So it's simple. It's really simple. There'll be a huge hue and cry when they try to make everybody redundant, because they'll be cutting back on the people that are issuing the funding out. So what we do is simple. We give them some other jobs. And what we do is all the unemployed people, their rent or their mortgage is paid by the central government rather than giving them money.
It's a very good idea.
Hold on. Let me finish. Same goes for electric, gas, and all that sort of stuff. And you allow people a little bit of money for, not for luxuries, for food and clothing, which is what you need. You don't need anything else. And other than that, seriously...
Well, no, you don't need a sky dish on your wall,
No.
which everybody who's out of work has because they've got nothing else to do all day. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, and that way round...
Do you know what? In Australia, when you're on a welfare benefit, or as we call it, when you're on a Centrelink benefit,
Yep.
You can have your bills paid directly out of that before it gets to you. And then they're trialling something, and they were trialling it in Darwin when I lived there, but they're trialling it in other places now, something called a basics card. And a basics card is like a debit card, but you can only use it in certain places for certain things. So you can use it at the supermarket to buy food. You can use it at the pharmacy to get your prescriptions filled. You can use it at clothing stores and wherever they've got the little sign out the front saying basics.
Right.
But you cannot buy alcohol, tobacco, and you cannot get cash to gamble with.
Okay, what's wrong with that? I suppose everybody's moaning about that as well.
Some people are. I mean, and a lot of people aren't, because many people have found themselves in a bit of a pickle because they're not very good at managing their money. But now they know that their rent is paid, their bills are paid, they've got their food, they've got their clothes, they've got their medicine, and they get bulk billed when they see the doctor anyway. So there's no out of pocket cost to go to the doctor. So a lot of people, most people are actually finding it very, very useful.
Good.
It is, but there is a point here in the UK.
I'll just throw that you can answer this point. That sounds like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, says Steve.
I think that actually is quite right, but there is a problem in Britain, which I don't know if it's is actually the same in Australia. And the problem is in Britain, if you are out of work, you have to be readily available to answer the call to go to work. And if you're doing a job to do with the council, be clearing roads or whatever, you're not officially available for work. So that's the first stumbling block. But there should be a way around that.
Well, it works here.
Well, we call it work for the dole.
Yeah,
that's right.
So what they'll do is, if you've been out of work for a certain amount of time, what they'll do is they place you somewhere to do, volunteer work, so that you will work for the money that the benefit gives you.
Yes.
And you'll work maybe 3 days a week, and then you'll work 9 to 5 hours. But they know where you are, they know what you're doing because they put you there, and there's never any question about being ready for the call. If you are welcome to apply for paid work still, and they encourage you to do so while you are on this particular work for the dole scheme, and when you have secured your employment, then it all shifts around again. So you then go off that system and become a member of society that is paying tax, etc.
Right, well, on the subject of Hull, how we started, Paul's comment is, lazy journalists, not thinking before they write, he remarks.
Why? What's it got to do with journalists?
Because it's the journalists that's put the list together.
Well, the journalists haven't put the list together. They put it together.
They've publicised it, I suppose. But no, the system here.
Well, we shouldn't have publicised it, shouldn't we? Because who said it? I can't find it now, but it's a government body that said it, isn't it? It's
something like that.
It comes from the University of Sheffield. So what we say, Paul, is that the journalists shouldn't have published it.
Correct.
They shouldn't have published it about Birmingham. They shouldn't have published about Fallowfield. They shouldn't have published about Manchester.
What they could have done. I'm in question time mode now. What they could have done is actually do their own research and go out and see if it's true.
But why would they bother? That is a government report, and that's what it says. There is another point to be made here, and everybody could get all really upset and angry about it, because this is the real truth and the nitty-gritty of what goes on, because I interviewed this man who I'm not going to name but comes from London, and he made a career out of, up until 2 years ago, of going from being on the sick to on the dole. And every year he would have a child so that he and his family got an increase in their income. He also, because he was readily available for work and staying at home, worked in the black economy and made himself very, very well off. We worked it out. We published this fact, and maybe we shouldn't have published this fact, because we would have upset his family as well as upsetting Hull, that he would have needed to have been earning in the region of £60,000 a year if he was in work. So why should he have gone to work? He had no qualifications. He wasn't trained to do anything.
You did the right thing. You did the right thing. The other, I will do the list for you in a moment, boys and girls. The question is, what about those who are unable to work due to disability or illness? No, they're covered completely different, mate. Here, whereas similar to Rach. If you want to get what we colloquially call dole money in Slovakia, you work on remedial stuff. For example, I think it was last week or the week before, there was a crew came here outside the office, because outside our office is a huge children's play area with sand pits and swings and all sorts of lovely stuff. And the unemployed people came round as a clue. They cleaned all the sand up. They tidied the whole place up before winter comes along, so that it's ready, nice and clean for next year. And that qualifies them for their dole money. If it is, they've applied for a job and need to go for an interview, bang, they go. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
but
that's the way it should be, yeah.
But the safety net is really there for disabled people and people who are sick or have just hit that rock bottom moment. Yeah. That's what the safety net's for. Yeah. It's not for long-term unemployed who just sort of sit around doing nothing. Because honestly, you don't get anything. No. And if you don't do the work the local authority gives you, they actually cut your dole money down.
Well, they cut you off here. They cut you off altogether.
Yeah, they did in the UK as well in certain
circumstances.
Yeah.
Well, Charles Burrows totally agrees with us. Good afternoon to Peter. And apparently breaking news in the UK, fracking will be allowed in the UK.
Oh, no.
If it's done properly, it could be brilliant. Do I trust anybody to do it properly? Nah. Nada. But anyway, we'll run down these other places where they reckon you can get no food. Having known from Paul that you can, Charles says, yes, Scotland. Okay, I know.
But it's the cost of the food, Paul. It's how much it costs in Britain. People can't afford food. Fresh food in particular is so expensive.
If you go to...
Fast food is way cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely, Rachel. I think people need to get in the real world.
Sad but true. But at the end of the day, there should be, and I would make sure there was enough money in my scheme, which is different because everybody will go, oh, you can't do that because the poor people need to do it themselves. Rubbish. No, they don't. We can help them out. Take more stress off their shoulders while they're looking for a job, for goodness sake.
What's wrong with helping people who need help?
Nothing.
That is the basics of British society.
Correct.
And we're
What's
always
wrong with teaching a man to fish? There's nothing wrong with that.
I would much rather do that than give him a fish. I'd rather give him the net and teach him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, let's do the rundown of this.
This is a charity that came out with this list, by the way, not the government.
Number 10 is Kirby. Number 9 is Everton, that's in Vauxhall in Liverpool. Asmore, which is in Birmingham. Also in Birmingham is Crete, and there's Clubmoor in Liverpool, Witherwood in Bristol, Seaforth in Liverpool, Hattersley in Tameside, Hartcliffe in Bristol, and the top one was Marfley in Hull, where they reckon they can't afford anything. In Wales, they've only got 9 places, which is good, so well done to Wales. In Scotland, they've got the full 10. And the 1, 2, 3, 4, the top 5 places where you can't apparently get fresh food is in Glasgow, which is quite a shock to my system. Where's he gone now? He's gone. He's disappeared.
Who?
Mr. Banks.
Why?
He's run to the kitchen to get in the middle of a programme, boys and girls. He's run to the kitchen to get a glass of water.
Nobody if you didn't have it on stupid Facebook.
Has he gone to get a piece of fresh fruit?
No, he didn't. He got a glass of water, but that's okay because it is just a glass
That'll
of
do.
water. That'll do. Should we take a break or not? No, we're not going to. Yeah, we should take a little break. We'll be back in a couple of seconds, boys and girls. I'll make it the really quick one. Don't go away. This is Postcard from Poprad.
RTI.
Aqua City Poprad. Čistá voda.
Everybody okay? Remember your training, all right?
RNLI lifeboat crews are unpaid volunteers. They rescue 22 people every day. On a lifeboat, training is a matter of life and death, and it costs £1,000 a year for each crew member. As a charity, we receive no UK government funding, so our crew's safety depends entirely on your donations. Please call 0800 543 210 and donate £20 or whatever you can afford. Because next time, this could be for real.
RTI.
Welcome back to part 2 of Postcard from Poprad with me and Leigh and Rach. We move to Uganda now, where the Ugandan Red Cross has said already 34 people have died in tragic landslides out there, with the horrific weather, heavy rains out there as well. And to be honest, some of that is down to the fact that if you keep digging up the trees, eventually the soil erodes underneath you and you get landslides. And that is a problem. It's a huge problem. You suffer that in Australia, don't you, Rach, where they dig places up?
Yeah. Well, because of the extreme weather, there's always shifts in the earth, and mudslides and all that sort of stuff is really, really common. But I mean, it's really dangerous. Then you're dealing with a force of water and a force of earth, and that's a force majeure. I will tell you, it's a terrible, terrible thing.
Yeah, you've experienced
it. It's very
it.
dangerous, and it's very, very deadly.
Yep. Hi to Zorka and to Karen. I use the term loosely. TV personality. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Well, first of all, I take exception to the word personality. I mean...
Well, she's probably got 2 assets, but that's about it.
She's been around for a long, long time, She's actually marked a place in televisual history. She's been around for, 15, nearly 20 years?
Yeah, right.
She's lasted.
We're talking
she
about...
writes books. She writes newspaper columns.
We're
she
talking
makes
about
TV.
The glamour model, Katie Price, is suspected of being arrested because we don't know 100% yet.
Oh, she has been arrested.
They're still confirming.
It says categorically.
She's been arrested.
The police spokesman said a breath test has been administered.
No, nobody said that she's done for drug.
Discuss the results.
No, she's not been done for drinking driving yet, but she's been arrested.
Well, all right.
Doesn't mean that she did it.
Well, that's true. Anyway, a Metropolitan Police bloke said that around 2 a.m, British Transport Police officers came across a car showing signs of damage. It was stationed at the roadside in Shooters Hill near Woolwich, and a 40-year-old woman was inside the car, was arrested on suspicion of drink. She was taken to South London Police Station, where she was spoken to. And why that's news, I don't know.
You put it on the list, I didn't.
I know, but it's news, and why?
Well, it is news because she's having a really rough time at the moment. She is actually, for better or worse, and not just because of Peter Andre, she is very, very famous in the UK. I'm not saying she's the most talented.
For getting her biffers out.
She's a very, very clever businesswoman.
That's not talented.
No, but she's a very clever businesswoman. She's written books and everything. And because her life is falling apart in the public eye, this is the latest incident in the collapse or the potential collapse of her life. It's like that other one who's got no nose.
Let's move over to something more responsible as a mum, and we'll hand this over to Rach because it's in Queensland.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a terrible, terrible storm here a couple of nights ago, and it was, well, not here in Melbourne, but up north in Queensland, where they're known for the ferocity of their storms, cyclones, etc. But there was a woman driving her car, and she drove it straight into the storm, which perhaps wasn't a great idea. But her baby and her grandmother were both in the car, and it started to hail, and the hailstones were so massive that they smashed through all the car windows. And that's a big hail. That's very,
enormous.
Very big hail. And, of course, fearing for the life of her child, she draped her body over the child, and she sustained horrendous injuries. Because this is, if you can imagine, if it's smashing windscreens, how much that would impact the human body. So she posted some photos of her.
She was covered in bruises, wasn't she?
Yeah. Covered. She looked like a grape. It was really horrible. But she said she's learned a lesson and she'll never drive into a hailstorm. And the good news is that Granny and baby were fine.
Brilliant. Staying in Australia for a minute, this must have scared the daylights out of people with an Australian Royal Air Force plane, Rach.
Oh, this is obscene beyond measure, and I hope somebody got in big trouble for this. There was a Boeing C-17 plane, which is part of the RAF, and it was filmed while it was descending in a built-up area. And in the video, the aircraft looks like it's flying between several skyscrapers, and then it banks right at the very last minute, and then goes straight up. And from the view that these people had, it looked like 9/11. It looked like that it was heading directly for a building. There were office workers apparently in the buildings, and they really thought their number was up. They thought it was a terror attack. They were absolutely positive it was a terror attack, and it wasn't. It was part of this silly festival, the Festival of River Fire. It's a festival that goes on every year, has done for years, and it takes place in South Brisbane on the bank, on the Brisbane River. And it's to celebrate something or other stupid. But it was a terrible, terrible thing for this pilot to do. There was no reason for him to be anywhere near buildings. There was absolutely no reason for him to do what he did. And I hope he's been thusly punished.
Good. Moving down to Africa again. A gentleman who's 100 years old and living on death row. After he organised a murder 18 years ago, there are some people saying he should be let out. No.
No, I don't. I agree with you. Yeah, no, he shouldn't. I suppose at 100 years old he's got... But he was 82 years old when he arranged this murder.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No. Yeah. Let him rot.
And his son says, well, because I have to look after him and da-di-da-di-da, it's not fair. Well, hang on, it's not fair on the other people who lost their loved one 18 years ago.
And yeah, but it's a bit unfair on this younger bloke that he's basically spending his life in prison as well because of what his dad did.
Well, that's true, but I'm sure that's probably a bit of a ruse. Probably a bit of a ruse.
No matter how old you are, if you've committed a violent, serious crime, you need to stay in jail for
absolutely.
What you've done.
You done. Don't do the crime if you can't serve the time. Simple as that.
Could be.
This is really interesting, and half of me loves it, half of me doesn't. We covered this story a long time ago.
Different story. Same thing.
No, we did this one as well. I looked.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Yeah,
sorry, yes.
A Christian bakery owner did not discriminate against a customer when they refused to make a £36 UK support gay marriage cake. And this went all the way to the Supreme Court in the UK.
Ridiculous.
Cost about £500,000. And it got to the point where the Supreme Court said that it was not discrimination.
Of course it wasn't.
And do you know what? I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, the other side of the fence is, and we've got a little story on that in a minute. In my father's shop when he was alive, if you'd got somebody coming in who was clearly drugged up to the eyeballs, he would not have served them with more pain relief. He wouldn't have done. No. He would have called the police probably, but he wouldn't.
It's kind of a caveat, I think, that you have the right to refuse service when you are a proprietor of
It's your shop, for crikey.
You have the right to refuse service.
It's different as well, though, here, because what everybody seems to be forgetting is that this cake shop was actually a publisher.
Well, there you are.
And no publisher can be forced to publish anything they don't want to.
Right.
And this isn't me attacking gay people, because I have on the Consumer Watch Foundation a whole column dedicated on a weekly basis to the gay community. And any gay people I want them to contribute to it. I want them to tell us about being gay and how life treats you as gay. But they had no right to pursue this firm for saying, no, we do not want to publish that.
This is what these guys were saying, the reverse side. They were saying it was humiliating to...
Make your own cake.
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, if I was a gay person wanting a cake, I wouldn't go to a place like that and ask for a cake. I don't want somebody who doesn't want to make my gay cake. I don't want to go there. No. I would find somebody who does want to. But the thing that kind of starts to irritate me about these stories is that gay people, and I love gay people too. Some of my best friends are gay. But I really think that there's a reverse discrimination that seems to occur. It's as if to say...
Yes.
You know what? You have to be respectful of my right to be gay. And that's true. But we also have to respect the rights of people who don't approve of that sort of lifestyle because of their religion or whatever. Everybody's entitled to feel the way they feel. And
Absolutely.
As long as it's not done with hatred and nastiness, it's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. A couple of your comments on here. Hang on, that was 45 minutes. Was I sleeping at the beginning and missed him mentioning CWF? No, that was me, Steve. He did get one in about 2 seconds after we started.
Right, up from me.
Right. Tim says, hi, guys. Hey, Tim.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hey, Tim.
Nice to have you with us. I'm against the death penalty, but he should serve time in prison. Absolutely right. We're going to hand over to Leigh because he's going to do CWF about 1 million times, and I can't be bothered to interrupt him while he does it because this story's all down to you.
Well, it's a really interesting story. The ConsumerWatchFoundation.com actually supports people who are doing something good and try to do something to change the world. And at a time when 100 international climate scientists were brought together by the United Nations and said we've only got 12 years left to tackle climate change, then we came across this story about what somebody who is described as the quiet man of the mountain, who's been working, in his own words, to save the world. And this is a Dr. Jan Zelensky.
Who I have to say is one of the directors of this particular radio station.
He certainly is, and somebody that we know well. And he has worked quietly and diligently with his team to build this eco-empire in the High Tatras, which is where we are. And it's a series of hotels which actually create so little damage to the CO2 damage that it's incredible. And while the scientists and the UN are bleating away and Trump and people like him are saying, no, there's nothing wrong, this man and his team are there doing something which potentially could change the world. There is something in the region, I think it's 322 million tonnes of carbon dioxide, which are pumped into the atmosphere every year in the world. Now, Aqua City, which is just one of these hotels, saves about 10,000 tons
of stuff.
Of it, yeah. And I actually wrote, I have to say, I wrote this. Now, that might sound like a drop in the world's ever-expanding and overheating oceans, but put another way, it is one massive step, but in a positive way for mankind. So let's all start doing what Dr. Talensky is doing now. Let's fight to save our world.
And do it in a business-like way,
yes,
so that it remains sustainable. The biggest problem with a lot of these,
absolutely.
And in answer to your question, Steve, yes, they do use some solar panels there, but the vast majority of the energy is produced from a huge lake, which shoves water out at some ridiculous bar.
It's heated by the core of the earth.
That's absolutely. Yeah. So it's self-replenishing, Steve. And the key to it is, if you want to have stuff that's sustainable, you've got to make it affordable. Now, if you make the whole thing a commercially viable proposition, then the sustainability comes into it. You can't have people going, oh, we should pay more taxes for our green something. No, you encourage people to do things to help the planet and use the business brains that enable you to do that. And that's what Jan Talensky did with Aqua City and continues to do so. He makes being in the eco business commercially sensible. Others don't. They just want to take. Give me the money. Research. No, he doesn't do that. He actually gets off his backside and does it. And that's the win. That is the win.
Can I just fill in a gap there? 12 years ago, I was in his head office and we were actually talking about leaving a legacy to the world. Eric's legacy is RTI. My legacy is...
I'm not going.
No, when you do, RTI will be your legacy to the world. Broadcasting will be your legacy to the world. My legacy...
I've got a better one.
What?
The first private individual to ever be awarded a commercial television licence in the UK.
Yeah, but that's all to that. Fine. Right. So, and mine is my book, which we're actively looking for a publisher for now. It's taken me a long time to write, and that is my legacy to the world. Jan Talensky stood in his office. He walked me across to the window of his office. He pointed to the heavens, and all we could see was not the sun, nothing else but black clouds. And he said, that is my legacy to the world. I want to end this pollution. And that's what, over the last, longer than that, but over the last 12 years, in particular, last 15 years, that's what he's been working at. Well done.
Well done to Jan. And he says, I can't go to Aqua City, I can't swim. It doesn't matter.
No.
That's the whole point of the place. It's a relaxation centre as well as being
I didn't
swimming
swim there. I didn't swim there, and I had a lovely time.
Well, that's true. That's true. You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
You did indeed.
I didn't swim there because I was really sick when I was there. But if you're really, really sick with a sort of a bronchial pneumonia situation, go to Aqua City because you will feel better.
Yeah. Absolutely true. She sounded like a tour board operator for Aqua City then for a moment. I fell about with this story. I absolutely fell about. A Banksy painting self-destructed as the hammer went down. Doof. £1 million, and the painting comes down in that frame. Zzz, and shreds itself. I fell on the floor laughing. I thought that was hysterical.
It was funny, but it wasn't a real painting.
Well, it was
No.
his.
It was a photocopy of it.
It was brilliantly executed. It was very, very Banksy-esque,
Yeah,
really, and
it
was a really good nod to
Very funny.
the
Very
silliness
funny
of
indeed.
the silliness of greed and commercialism. But it was brilliantly executed. I saw it on the news, and the look on the faces of the people who were there was just
Imagine being the
priceless.
bloke who bought it.
Million
Yes.
quid. Yeah. Blimey, yeah, £1 million down the toilet. Apparently, I think it's Sotheby's and the person who was going to own it are in discussions at the moment.
Yeah, but do you know what? Since it went through that shredder, it's doubled in price.
Of course it has. You put it in a.
And you know what? The guy who bought it got a fair shredder out of it too. So there's a bit of an advantage.
Win-win. A little quick one here, which I'm just going to do the headlines because we are running really short on time. Dart is the operating company at the Dartford Tunnel, and I'll do this as a public service announcement. Be careful. If ever you go to the Dartford crossing on the east side of London, there's no toll booths like there used to be.
Nope.
And if you drive through without having gone online, you will get a fine.
I did £100 for a £2.50 crossing, and that's because they don't make it clear. Read all about it in the consumerwatchfoundation.com.
There you go. Google have suffered the same as the kind of thing that people will say they cause. A secret plan to censor the internet has been leaked, and it's quite revealing, actually. But the truth is, I wouldn't say...
funny? It's censorship, but it's revealing.
Yeah, very good. I wouldn't say it's actual censorship because a lot of it is get rid of harassment, get rid of fake news, get rid of all the bad stuff and just leave the good stuff.
Yeah.
I can't see is that censorship, to be honest.
Not really, it's just sensible.
So it's not...
guess what?
Whoa.
Just sorry to interrupt you. I'm watching Sky News UK right now. It's on in the background, and they're doing that story on food deserts.
What, now? They are so slow. They are just so slow. Oh, come on. I mean, at least give us the credit for it, Sky News. I mean, we did it first.
Right.
Nothing to see here. Armed police were sent out rather quickly to a bank in the West Midlands after somebody saw all the staff hiding behind the desks. And they're all cowering down. Only to find out a bit later on it was a team-building game of hide and seek, which I thought is lovely. And we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, where you can or can't serve somebody. A bunch of people have printed up some leaflets telling chip shop owners not to serve takeaways to a gentleman because he's been given a life or death warning about his weight.
Why are you not naming him?
Well,
But that's the whole point of the story, that they put leaflets out naming him.
Darren McClintock. Sorry. Or known as Dibsy.
From Middlesbrough. Don't let him have any
Don't let
chips.
Dibsy have any chips. No, don't.
Seriously.
Seriously. It's not a joke. It's for real. Don't let Dibsy have any chips. It's too near to Banksy, that, isn't it? I can see the other one. Rach, I know what we're going to have to print up.
What's that?
Leaflets. Don't give Banksy any beer.
No!
Banksy, no. We've got to go further. Don't give Banksy any beverages
No!
of any kind.
No, we allow him water.
He's allowed water, but nothing in it.
Oh, I don't want to get that in my alcohol system.
Flippy dick. Anyway, Rach, we are gonna throw you out as you leave rather than talk to you afterwards. You got to go to bed.
Yeah, get to bed.
Do.
You do indeed.
Get to bed now.
What do you mean get to bed? Listen to it.
Up those dolly dancers.
What?
Up that stair, that wooden thing to stair.
You mean apples and pears?
I'm doing all different ones. I was going to do apples and pears next.
All right. Anyway, you're going to work tomorrow, Rach.
To sleep.
You're just going to sleep the rest of the
Oh,
weekend.
but guess what I'm doing on Sunday?
What?
Rach, what are you doing on Sunday?
I'm going to VMAX to watch First Man.
Ooh. I'd like to watch that.
Which is the movie about Neil Armstrong and the crew and that whole journey to landing on the moon.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Who's playing him? I've forgotten. It's somebody really famous and really surprising.
Brian Gosling.
Yeah, Brian Gosling.
That's
That's right. Yeah, and I'm sorry, there are loads more comments on Facebook. I just haven't got round to them all, so I do apologise to one and all. Rach, we are literally going to throw you away, get to bed, and have a snuggle. Off you go.
Night.
I will. Night, everybody.
Night, Rach. Night, Rach. That's Rachel gone. She's gone. I wasn't joking. I chucked her away. She's got to go to bed. So what's Leigh doing?
What am I doing? I'm going to polish my car. I did.
Oh,
I
yes.
took it.
We're under threat of seeing his car at my house.
No, I took it. I got it washed. Impeccably by some very nice Popradian people, and it looks beautiful. So now's the time to polish it.
Well, I washed it.
No, but this is better because they did it by hand.
Oh, by hand. Oh, okay then. All right, that's fair enough. So you're coming round to mine on Saturday?
No, I'm not sure yet. It will happen within very soon. But we're going to polish a little bit together by hand.
Yes.
Yeah. She's doing a wing, then I'm doing a wing. Look at it like it's a chicken. I'll have a wing and she can have a wing.
Right. It's only because I polished little bits of it and he's now embarrassed.
It does stand out.
It does a bit, doesn't it? I'm going to cut the lawn.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to give the lawn its first and final cut of the year from being new. And then I've got to put a new light bulb in my bike.
Excuse me, nobody's asked you.
That's true.
You're just telling us.
Yes.
That's
just
just presumptuous.
Oh.
Oh, now what are you going to do this weekend, Eric?
I've already told everybody.
I know, that's the problem.
Then I'll finish. Then I'm going to put a new light bulb in my the side light bulb. Front.
I've got to put one in my bathroom.
What, a bulb?
A bulb.
I've got your bulbs at my place.
Why, they're at your place? I thought they were in my shed.
No.
Oh.
I've forgotten to give them to you.
Oh, right.
Is this making any sense, boys and girls? No, probably not, so I think we'll shoot. Peckney Den ever. Hi to Steve. Thank you to everybody and Charles and Steve and everybody and Dave for commenting. Appreciate it a lot. It's Steve up next. The legend that is Steve. And his wonderful music programme. This is Radio Tatras International from Poprad to Plymouth. See ya. Bye-bye.
From the heart of Europe to the world, RTI, the station of the stars.